Umar Johnson from the States. How are you, sir?
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on the show, and peace and blessings to Rotterdam.
Yeah, my colleague Lionel said he thought the great boxer Muhammad Ali came inside there.
Yes. In a certain way. Yeah. I guess I'm the Muhammad Ali of Pan-Africanism.
Okay. How are you doing?
I've been doing okay. All's been well. Just finished up a terrific tour over in the United Kingdom. 5 stops. We did London, we did Luton, Birmingham, Manchester, and Wolverhampton. Strong turnout, sold out in most places. A lot of people came, showing support, donations. You know, I'm on a world tour to try to raise the consciousness and raise money for the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey National Academy that I want to do for African boys, International Leadership Academy, the first of its kind, based on the principles of Pan-Africanism and African culture.
Very good, man. What is the difference that you experience between the people in the States and in the UK?
I would say there's not
about consciousness, eh?
About consciousness, not a lot of difference. There's probably more conscious people in the States because the States are larger. So just based on sheer number, consciousness may be more abundant in the Americas. But I find just as much consciousness in London and Birmingham and Manchester. I don't see a lot of differences. I see a lot of similarities, for good and for bad. And on the bad side, or should I say a side that needs improvement globally, I don't see enough collaboration and cooperation amongst the various grassroots organizations.
And what's the reason for that?
I think a lot of it is due to ego. I think a lot of it is due to petty differences. I think a lot of it has to do with some of the psychological traits that we've been conditioned to have since the days of slavery, the need to outperform one another, to be the top black versus just being part of the larger movement. I think we're very Eurocentric in our approach to black organization, to the point that we like to function in a very hierarchical, top-down, vertical sort of a format versus a collective, horizontal type of a format where everyone's opinion and every organization's efforts can be rewarded. The organizational structure is very dictatorial, is very aristocratic. One leader at the top.
Dominated.
Yes. One black man at the top, and everyone in the organization do what he says do or get out. You know, which is a very,
You are not allowed to be, to think.
You can't disagree with the leadership. You know, there's no opportunity to innovate the thinking, which is why a lot of black organizations today are dinosaurs. They're dying out. They're not replenishing themselves with new energy. Most of them don't have any youth. If you look at the average black grassroots organization, and I could probably add church. We don't even have to just look at the revolutionary groups. You can look at the integrationists and the mainstream groups. Almost no youth. Dinosaur organizations dying out because they don't keep pace with the times and they don't bring in the new blood.
The old thinking.
Yes.
And it should be like the old thinking.
Yes.
There's no refreshment.
No refreshment.
There's no room for refreshment.
No room for refreshment. I speak from experience. I'm former Minister of Education for Marcus Garvey's organization, the Universal Negro Improvement Association, and African Communities League, which turns 100 years old this year. But one of the reasons I kind of left the UNIA for a long time is because even though I was Minister of Education and I was the youngest member of the parent body, I wasn't really allowed to help shape the direction that the group was taking. I was constantly being told, wait your turn, wait your turn, wait your turn. But I said, well, I'm 30 years old. How long y'all want me to wait?
How long must you wait?
Exactly. And if I compare black organizations to organizations of any other culture, because I work with a lot of folks from different cultures, we don't have a protocol to transfer power and leadership from one generation to the next. We don't have a system to groom and train the next generation of young leaders to replace us when it's time for us to step aside and become the mentors and the advisors versus the organizers and the charismatic orators.
It seems like we don't have the trust in these youngsters.
Don't trust the youth.
We don't trust the youth.
They don't trust the youth.
How do you finance your project?
Well, with the school, what we've been relying on right now, the first phase of the fundraiser was to pure donations, to go around, see how many brothers and sisters wanted to put their money to the movement. Now, obviously, you cannot sustain a school with donations, but we need to get it started with the donations and then take that raw wealth and turn that into some sort of an investment that would allow the school to operate purely off the interest, like a lot of colleges do. They will float an endowment and they can operate off of endowments and investments. So I'm looking to create a portfolio based off the money that we're bringing in. So far, we raised $250,000 or so.
Oh my God.
But the college that we're trying to buy, a historically black college in America called St. Paul's, Virginia. Southern Virginia, about 90 miles from the North Carolina border. It's been closed
Tennessee.
No.
I've never been to the States.
That's okay.
I've never been to
It's Maryland coming down. Like I live in Philadelphia, so it's Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, and then North Carolina. So it'll be between Maryland and North Carolina.
So, you know,
yeah, well, I'm driving up and down like that. I'm always driving.
No, it's on my list of things to do. One day to go to the States, but every year I go to my own country. I go to Suriname. You know? I
was there.
You were in Suriname
for the first time.
How was it?
I enjoyed it.
Yes,
I enjoyed it.
Did you see all the multicultural people?
Yes, I did.
There, yeah, this is the only country in the world where you have a synagogue, a church, and a mosque.
I saw the mosque and the church.
Yes,
I guess the famous one is like a mosque right across the street from the church.
And then you have a mandir.
Yeah,
it's on the same street, and these people they celebrate their religious days with each other.
Yes,
so
I know.
That's why I'm very proud of Suriname. I'm very proud of Suriname. This is a Suriname station, and we are doing all the best we can to have to make the people conscious about their roots.
Yes.
About where they came from. About we're living in another country, but we cannot forget our roots. We must be conscious about who we are.
Yes.
Where do we come from? Originally, the most Suriname people, they're from Africa, India, and from Java.
Yes.
So that's what we're trying to do. But what can you tell me about your school? What can you tell me about the school you try to recreate, rebuild, or
yes, to build? This will be the first time.
Okay.
It'll be the first. What we're going to teach at the Fred Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, what's going to make it different is the curriculum. First of all, it's going to be a year-round school. You won't have the whole summer off. We're going to operate 12 months a year with regular breaks in between. We're going to teach agricultural and agronomical science to make sure the children have the ability to grow their own food. We want them to be able to live off the land, not the supermarket, because too many of our people are dying from diet-related diseases born of what we eat. So we want to teach the children to grow their own food. Next, we want to teach them dietary and nutritional science. We want them to be able to heal disease and sickness, not with medicine, but with herb and natural food. Okay? Then we want to teach them science of the black family and black community. We want to teach the boys how to treat women. We want to teach the girls how to treat men.
Wow.
We want to teach them how to come together. How do you regulate a family? How do you organize a family? How do you keep balance in the family? How do you resolve conflicts with your structure, black family structure, and then black community structure? We want to teach them the science of going into a community and organizing the black folk. How do you deal with petty differences? How do you deal with the religious indoctrination of black folk? How do you deal with the economic disorganization? We want to turn that into a science and we want to teach that.
And how do you deal with history?
And how do you deal with history? Which takes us to the next science, political and military science, which includes the history. We want them to understand the past, but we also want them to understand the present. Why is Africa in the condition she's in? And what do you know about the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund? Why doesn't the United Nations Department of Human Rights speak out more strongly about the police genocide in the United States against black men? Eric Garner, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Sean Bell, Dante Dawson.
Recently.
Yes. Genocide. It's not police brutality, it's genocide.
Yeah.
They're trying to take out a whole population. We want them to understand why. And yes, we will train them in the art of warfare. We must. because the world we live in is a very volatile world, and we want them to be able to defend life.
Did you follow the Black Pete discussion?
Yes. Yes.
And, I had a couple of politic parties here in the studio who are they are pro Black Pete.
Yes.
And we are anti Black Pete.
Yes.
And we talked to them, and I think the discussion we're having is like a dumb discussion.
It is.
It is a dumb discussion. I think if you want to fight this problem, or we see it like a problem, then you must go to a higher level. You must talk to the schools. Like, how do you see Black people?
But I go a little bit. I'll take it a step further.
Yeah.
I think that the brothers and sisters in the Netherlands, okay, the Dutch Africans, I think that we need to take this fight to the African Union. I think research needs to be done to find out if Amsterdam, if Holland does business with any African nations. Do they do business with any Caribbean nations?
I think Shell is doing business.
Okay.
Shell is from Holland.
Right.
And they have lots of companies in Africa.
Exactly. So then what needs to happen needs to be an embargo. You understand?
Boycott.
There needs to be a boycott. And African countries need to tell Holland that if you do not stop this holiday, we're cutting off the flow of the oil. We're cutting off the flow of the gas. It has to be a Pan-African. Yes. It has to be a Pan-Africanist approach. In other words, I think the diaspora has to lend a hand to the struggle against Black people. The Black community has to decide who's going to be a spokesperson and its ambassadors, officially, okay? You represent the African Dutch as it relates to this Black Pete situation. You're the official ambassador to the African Union, right? And then it needs to be letters.
We have one guy here at the radio station, his name is Quincy, and he's like the face of their fight.
Okay.
He's been arrested a couple of times, and he's right now in the European Parliament. He's a good friend of mine, and he's like the face of this fight in Holland.
Okay.
He's a young guy. He's a young guy, but he's very dedicated.
Gotcha. It's time to internationalize.
And he's a youngster.
Okay.
I think he's like 28 something.
Okay, well, much younger than I'm 40.
I'm 42.
Oh wow, okay, yes sir. But you have to internationalize the Black Pete struggle. Cripple the country from without by cutting off its sources of material wealth and natural resources from African countries. Make the AU help us fight this fight.
I think one of the biggest income of African countries in Holland is Shell. And Shell is like worldwide.
Then it's time to target the countries that Shell directly mines from.
I mean, you're in Rotterdam, and we have like the biggest harbor of whole Europe, and it's filled with petrol. It's filled with oil going from this harbor to the rest of Europe. So, I mean,
it's time to internationalize it. Now, it's a dangerous thing to do. It's going to be dangerous because you're talking about cutting off a major resource. You understand? Whoever fights that fight, and it needs to be done as a group. Okay, Quincy might be the spokesperson, but we need leadership. We don't need a leader. I want to be clear about that. It's very Eurocentric to have one person out front. That's not the way we need to operate. We've learned from Malcolm X, Dr. King, Patrice Lumumba. You need a team. So no matter who you target as an individual on the team, it doesn't matter if you lock them up. God forbid, take their life, because we still got another dozen people who can replace them. We need a leadership team, so that way it reduces the amount of oppression that the one leader will have to face.
The one Nelson Mandela.
Yes.
I was very. I'm very. How do you say it? Inspired by men like Nelson Mandela.
Yes.
Malcolm X.
Yes. And one of the things.
Mahatma Gandhi.
Yes. Now with Gandhi, we got to be careful
But now they tell me that Mahatma Gandhi was a racist.
Oh, he was a racist who refused to support the black South African struggle against apartheid. While in South Africa, he only cared about the East Indians, and he was clear about that. He also made several very derogatory statements about black folk. He was not a friend of black people, which is interesting because in Atlanta, Georgia, the home of the good Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., at his resting site, okay, there's a museum. They have a gigantic statue of Mahatma Gandhi outside of a museum for Dr. King. Since when do you find the statue of a foreign hero at a museum and shrine dedicated to one of your heroes? These are the things black people do. I don't understand. Why is Mahatma Gandhi's statue? It's bigger than Dr. King's.
Makes no sense. It makes no sense, man. It makes no sense. You know, I am like so tired of racism. You know, I'm born in this country. I grew up in Suriname, and I had a good youth. But the struggle during the years at work, you have to do twice as much. You have to fight against all, and now these years, due the Black Pete discussion and the social media that I read, I'm like, what? I never thought Holland was this much of a racist country. It is a racist country.
It is. And to be honest, when I visited you guys in January, it was mind-blowing to know that y'all have that kind of a holiday. It was mind-blowing to know that white people in the 21st century, anywhere in the world, still dress up in blackface and put on black wigs. You know, America, we still have that type of buffoonery, but not as overtly as you guys have it here. That kind of died out in the 50s and the 60s. And to just know that there's countries that still condone that type of overt racism is sad. But I'm going to tell you what's even sadder. And this is something that's going to have to be dealt with within the African community in Holland before you internationalize the struggle. From what I understand and from what I've read, because I've been following the Black Pete situation, there's a lot of black people who supported here. That has to be dealt with, because you have to have a united front. It doesn't mean everyone has to, you know, disavow Black Pete, but it must be more. It must be the majority. The majority of black folk here have to be against it. Otherwise, they will neutralize any strategy you implement to do away with it by putting black folks on TV, in the paper, on the radio saying, we see nothing wrong with it. So we have to deal with that internal contradiction before we internationalize the struggle. How a black person cannot have an issue with Black Pete is insane.
Yes, sir. Hold on. Goedemiddag, u bent in de uitzending. Hallo? Goedemiddag. I'm just putting down the phones so we can speak further. Amsterdam, the cancer of this organization, how Garvism can save the African world. What can you tell me about it?
On that, tomorrow night's lecture, which I'm very much looking forward to because I've been away so long from you guys, we're going to talk about that disorganization. When you look at the conscious community in America, okay, all of us, the scholars as well as the lecturers, and I don't put those two together. You have scholars, then you have lecturers, but of all the personalities who present, very few are engaged in any meaningful, active plan of action to build something for black folk. We need institutions, we need systems, we need programs, we need protocol, we need structure, not just the information. We have contented ourselves since the Black Book Revolution of the 60s. We have contented ourselves to simply know the information. What good is knowing your history if you don't plan to build a school to teach it? What good is knowing white supremacy if you don't build systems to free your people away from that? What good is knowing that eating certain types of food is triggering cancer in melanated people if you don't have a farm to feed the people correctly? So it's a contradiction to talk about the problem and not offer a solution.
You need action.
You need action, and there's very little action within the conscious community. I'm not alone, okay, but there's very few of us who are trying to make a difference beyond the dissemination of information, which is why the church, that's why the church is still winning out the Black Conscious Organization for the minds of African people, because the church still has some services that it can offer black folk. But when you look at the average black revolutionary group, only thing we have is information. People need jobs, people need homes, people need security, they need education for their children. If you don't get into the action, if you don't act, the information is irrelevant, and we're trying to live off the information.
Because if you only live with the information, it's like the role of a victim. You know, the information, I'm so sad,
yes,
I'm a victim, but no, you need to stand up. You need to get up and stand up and take action.
Because if you're only disseminating information, you can trigger depression in black folk. Because you're telling me how bad it is, you're giving me the specifics of my condition, but you don't have no remedy. So you walk into a lecture and you give all the specifics of the problem, and you leave with no cure.
No cure.
So did you leave them any better off than what? If you tell me I have cancer, but you don't tell me how I can get rid of cancer, I'm going to be worse off than when you walked in.
Yeah.
It might have been better you didn't tell me nothing. You see, because you gave me a bag of trouble, but you didn't give me a bag of cure with that trouble. We have to start providing a cure.
And we have to provide the cure.
Yes.
We have to provide the cure.
We have to provide
How
the
do
cure.
you provide the cure?
For me, I'm focusing on education, because psychologically, I know that we can't change our condition until we change the mindset. And I know that the mindset of the average adult African globally isn't going to change too much between now and their death. Children have not yet crystallized their personality. Children are still idealistic. Children are still finding themselves. So if we want to create that African world revolution that we need, it's going to have to be done through the minds of the youth. We need children who never were conditioned with white supremacy. Children who never were taught self-hate. Children who are totally committed, not just verbally committed, but totally committed to building the institutions that we need. One school in 20 years can change the consciousness of black folk to such an extent that in 40 years we can be out of this situation. It don't take a long time.
How many children are going
to attend a school?
Yeah.
It's going to depend on the resource. Ultimately, we want a school everywhere. We want them everywhere. We want a global Pan-African school district where all the children get the same curriculum, the same ideology, the same philosophy of self-determination.
How will the American government allow this?
Well,
I mean,
you're correct.
Well,
we're going to have to be discreet.
We're speaking about black schools.
Yes.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't see a lot of pushback because it's just the school. The problem isn't going to be the school, it's going to be the result of that school, which is those children to come forward. That's what the government is going to have to worry about, not the school itself. And we may have to move that school. I'm considering now building the first of many Frederick Douglass Academies in West Africa. I'm in direct communication with one of the traditional rulers there, a king, and we're thinking about putting the school there because with the $250,000 that you guys have helped me build, I'll probably be able to build a school from the ground in Africa with that money.
Oh yeah.
Versus trying to get $2 million for a school in Virginia, you follow. So in terms of getting the best bang for your two birds with one stone, because not only...
Who do you going to teach? The youth in Africa? Or do you will get the children out of UK, out of United States, and bring them to that school?
It's going to be an international school, so they will come globally. What we're going to have is a lottery system that is strategically allowing for geographic representation of African boys around the world. So you take Amsterdam, okay, you guys are a little smaller than London. London is a little smaller than the States, so geographical proportionality. So if we have a school with 500 students, 5 of them might be from Amsterdam.
10 from the United.
A few from Jamaica, a few from Suriname. You see, and then from Africa, from Ghana, from Nigeria, we're going to come up with a system that allows for proportionate representation so it's fair and equal, so you don't have Africa dominating the school, you don't have America dominating the school, because we want the school to be Pan-African. We also want the teaching core to be Pan-African. I want my teachers to be reflective of the total population of African professionals around the world. So for brothers and sisters here in the Netherlands and throughout Europe, I want them to know that they can send their resume. They can mail it in now. Send it in now to fdmgresumes@gmail.com. They can send you their resume. fdmgresumes@gmail.com. fdmgresumes@gmail.com, because we've already received about 500, but we're going to need more than that because we're going to have multiple schools. We're putting them all into a database. And then once we have the school, we're going to start interviewing people, and hopefully some of them will be willing to teach in Africa.
Can they reach you by Facebook?
Yes, I'm on Facebook at Dr. Umar Ifatunde, Ifatunde.
Dr. Umar Abdullah Johnson.
That's a false page.
It's a false page.
There's a lot of false pages of me on Facebook. FBI, CIA, they not me.
Oh my God.
Yes. Dr. Umar Ifatunde.
I've tagged you in it.
Yeah, that's a fake page. I don't know. That's a fake page. You want Dr. Umar Ifatunde. 35,000 likes. That's the page you want. Okay. Twitter and Instagram, they can follow me at Dr. Umar Johnson. I also want the brothers and sisters in Amsterdam to know if they want to communicate with me directly while I'm here. All they have to do is download the WhatsApp application from the Apple or Android.
Yeah, well, we have
WhatsApp, and they can connect to me on WhatsApp, and we can text for free internationally. And my phone number for WhatsApp, and of course they need to add the international code.
Yes. Yeah.
But the phone number, brothers and sisters, is 215-989-9858. Again, 215-989-9858. Dr. Umar Johnson on WhatsApp, and we can communicate. And also, for more information about this weekend's events, they can go to blacklegacy.nl, blacklegacy.nl, and also Dr. Umar NL Tour at gmail.com. DRUMARNL Tour at gmail.com.
Okay. A couple of weeks ago, I had the granddaughter of Bob Marley here in the studio. And she was telling me about the Rasta. They had their own farm in Jamaica. And they used to be very rich. They used to have their own food, grow their own stuff, everything. They were like a community in Jamaica, and all these people are trying to take it over.
Wow.
So that's why she's on tour too, just like you, to find the people to make the people conscious about it.
Yes, you have to. You have to. And the Caribbean is under attack economically because I see an attempt by Europeans to try to recolonize Europe, not in name but in practice. They're really trying to buy it. And there's a lot of money. A lot of Europeans are going to Caribbean islands and buying very large tracts of land. And the Caribbean governments need to be careful. I saw this when I was in St. Thomas. I saw it in Jamaica. I saw it when I was in Bermuda. Okay. I saw it in St. Croix. They're buying large tracts of land. As you know, the islands are not that big to begin with.
So
and if the governments
hold on, like I said, 17th century, 1600, they just went there and they just took it. But now they are just
paying for it. But taking it just the same. And once they get it, it's their private property. And I don't know if the African heads of state are conscious of what's happening. You're seeing the recolonization of the Caribbean before our eyes. But as you said, as opposed to it being done through strong armed militaristic conquering, it's being done through economic purchase. They're buying too much land. There should be a law that too much land is being bought by white folk in the Caribbean.
That's a very bad.
And they're buying the most critical pieces of land. They're buying the land that's by the coast. They're buying the land that's by the docks where the ships come in. Yeah. They're buying the critical pieces of land. In fact, when I was in St. Thomas a few months ago, I learned that the white folk who own land in a certain part of the country want to annex it into a different country. They want to give it another name They don't even want to be part of St. Thomas no more. Yes, they want to be given their own country. See, so they buy up all the land in a certain area, and then they say, we don't even want to be a part of this country no more.
A tax trick.
It's happening.
I'm just gonna put on a track, and then we'll have we'll be talking the last talk.
Okay.
And we're back with Dr. Umar Johnson from the States. And what can you tell the people to do to support you for the school?
Yes, well, the first thing they can do is come on out one of the next 4 nights, or all 4, during the lecture tomorrow night in Amsterdam, and then we're going to show Hidden Colors and have a Q&A session on Friday night. So Thursday night Amsterdam lecture, Friday night Hidden Colors and Q&A. Saturday night will be my lecture here in Rotterdam, and then Sunday night the Hidden Colors and Q&A in Rotterdam. So basically, yes, and basically the first night in each city is for me to talk to the people, give them an update, let them know what I'm doing, critical information about the Pan-African struggle globally, different things that are happening. And then the second night, the Hidden Colors night, will be for them to ask any questions. That will be the conversation, an opportunity for them to engage me intellectually. So we'll have a balance.
It's coming Saturday. What time is it?
It begins at 7.
7 at Wimasanga. Yes. And Sunday, 3 o'clock in Wimasanga.
Yes.
So this Saturday you can go at 7 o'clock to Wimasanga, and Sunday you can go at 3 o'clock to Wimasanga.
Yes. Or come to both of them, bring a check or money order if you can, payable to FDMG Academy to help us build that school. Make sure you send your resume to fdmgresumes@gmail.com. But even if they can just afford to buy a ticket, that's a tremendous help, because all the money goes to raise money for the school.
For the school.
Yes, this is about empowering our people, not exploiting them in the name of God.
How much is one ticket?
10 euro.
Yeah, so I know lots of people who are listening now.
And they should all come. Even if you're not a Pan-Africanist, if you care about black children, you need to be there, because when we look at the movement for non-traditional revolutionary educational systems, I'm at the forefront of that. So it's not even about supporting Dr. Umar Johnson. It's about supporting our children. That's what it's about.
The next generation.
And I'm going to ask them to hold back on some of that Christmas shopping that they're doing. They're spending too much money on Christmas gifts. Some of that money needs to be saved for our children's future, and some of that money needs to be redirected to my fundraiser.
Instead of tablets and iPhones and...
Which has nothing to do with Christmas. Half of that stuff, the children won't even want to use it after 3 months. It's a total waste of time, how we've allowed the European religious order and economic order to manipulate our consciousness into thinking we have to spend our money in order to worship the Lord.
It's so fine talking to you, Dr. Umar. When you're in the States, how do they treat you in the States?
Well, in the States, I'm the most requested black scholar. I speak more than anyone else. I'm always on tour. Tour never ends. Even while I'm here, I'm getting...
How does your week looks like?
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'm speaking.
You're speaking?
Always. During the week is normally when I do my psychological evaluations and my therapy, because I'm a private practicing school psychologist, so that's normally when I tend to my professional work. But because I'm in such demand, I can often go weeks without going home. In fact, I'm even contemplating giving up my home and moving in with my sister, because no one in my family understands why I'm paying to live somewhere where I only there 2 days out the whole week. They say you fly in, spend a night, pack up, and you're back on the road. Are you wasting money? Should that money be going to your fundraising?
Is it a mortgage or is it a rent?
It's rent. It's rent. I live in one of those so-called luxury apartments, you know, that has everything you need, you know, which is good. It's convenient. You know, you got the gym, you got the washer, dryer, everything.
The whole package.
You got the whole package, but
yeah, you're only there twice a week. Yeah.
2 days. I'm normally in Philadelphia, literally 2 days. You know,
where does your sister live?
She lives in Philadelphia as well.
Okay.
You know, we're from North Philadelphia, Temple University area. You know, but because I'm not there that much, you know, I need to start thinking about moving in with a relative and just saving that money for the school.
That would be nice, yes. That would mean dedication. Maybe you could take a room at the school.
Yeah. Oh wow. Well, that was my plan. That's what I am planning to do. Once we get to school, I would live on the campus as soon as we get it. That way, all my money goes into the school. In other words, I'm paying the school to stay there.
Yes.
You know, and it's funding what we're trying to do versus giving it to somebody else.
Very good idea.
And we also working on a shockumentary. I mentioned this last time I was here. I'm working on my first made for the movies documentary. It's going to be called the Shockumentary, the psychoacademic Holocaust against black boys. I need parents. I need black parents in Holland, if they have a testimonial, a story, something that their sons have been through that they think would be worthy. Put in special ed unnecessarily, put on drugs.
I think you can find a lot of Dutch black footballers, soccer players, who made it, who become a millionaire. But I think they can tell you about the struggle before they were bought by a club, or the struggle they had to go through before they were allowed to play on a high level.
Okay.
Some of us went through
If they
a struggle.
willing to be in the documentary, I don't know. If they're on the sports team, they might, you know.
No, I think you have to find these guys who are
A little bit more socially conscious.
no. They don't play at that level anymore.
Okay. Semi-retired, retired.
Yeah,
Okay.
semi-retired, and I think
Yeah.
they can tell you your story.
And I know a couple, but what about some of us that went through a struggle with their parents?
Yes, I like that as well.
Yeah.
I like that as well.
Because I got a story, and I've been recording some.
The people can come to you
Yes.
this Saturday. No, let's
Yeah.
start at Amsterdam. Let's start at Amsterdam.
Yes, tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. It's at the CAC block at Belmodreef, Amsterdam Zuidoost. Friday in Amsterdam, you're at the Kandelaar block, also the Belmodreef. But most of our listeners are from Rotterdam, and they can meet you this Saturday, the 20th of December in Wimasanga, Rouwenhofstraat, 7 o'clock. And Sunday, 3 o'clock, Wimasanga also.
Definitely. And I have copies of my book there as well. Every parent needs to have that. I got DVDs, different things that can
The
raise
whole
the
package.
The whole package. So come on out, show love. You know, I don't get to Europe that much because of my demands in the States. So, but I'm going to try to make a commitment to come here twice a year since we did 2 times in 2014. We're going to try to do 2 times in 2015. And I'm going to be working with Sister Shahida to get back to Suriname. And also, I received an invitation to speak in Curaçao.
Curaçao, yes.
Marcus Garvey Day, August the 17th, 2015. I just got an invitation to speak at a black-owned, black-run museum down in Curaçao. So I'm looking forward to that.
Nice. I give you all the power, man. The next time you're in Holland, come visit me again. Then
Appreciate it.
we'll speak up again.
Will do. Blacklegacy.nl, brothers and sisters.
Blacklegacy.nl.
Blacklegacy.nl.
Fight the power.
Fight the power.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Yes.